news with Gina.
The news with Gina Grad.
I'm just receiving a breaking news alert right now that Dodger Stadium, since they got nothing else to do right now, will be the new testing site. If you're interested in getting a COVID-19 test, might as well use that parking lot. We were speaking to somebody in the barbershop and hair salon business, so perfect time to release another bit of breaking news that I just received right before we started today. Hair salons and barbershops are now able to reopen their doors in parts of California, according to Governor Newsom. Counties that have attested to the state that COVID-19 is under control locally can start reopening their businesses effective immediately. 47 of the 58 counties in California have completed the process. The ones around here include Orange, Riverside, Ventura, San Bernardino, Santa Barbara. Did you hear a county missing in that list?
Los Angeles.
That's right. We will not be part of the reopening process because we are still the epicenter of many death and pandemics. So we are not included on the list. But maybe you want to come over to the Valley and go to the Inland Empire and get that trimmed up look in the next week or two.
Oh, God, we're
Adam,
such
let me ask you
yeah.
Question about your haircut. I noticed it looked a little shorter than normal.
Yes.
Did you get an extra 3/4 of an inch just to wait out this inevitable haircut ban out here?
I'm glad you brought that up. Not intentionally, but I'll take it because it'll grow into. I'll buy myself an extra 3 weeks of growing time. I don't know if you guys have experienced this. Bald, you haven't, but Max, Pat, Dawson, whomever, you tell me. I have had many, many conversations with many, many hairdressers / barbers, including my own sister, who did it for a living and would occasionally cut my hair. But I've also had this, it's like when you go out to eat and you go, hey, no mayonnaise on the BLT, and they go, gotcha, and then they just put extra mayonnaise on. Like, that's the kind of world we're living in. But the difference between this and the mayonnaise is you're not following them into the kitchen. Like, the woman is cutting my hair, and they always go, how do you like it? And I go, I wear it shorter on the top, on the side, but I leave it long on the top. It looks better when it's longer on the top. And they go, okay. And then moments later, they proceed to start cutting the top short. And it's like, hey, bitch, I just told you what we were doing here. And I said longer on the top. Like, it's kind of like when you say, you order the French fries and they give you one packet of ketchup at the In-N-Out, and you go, hey, man, could I have a little more ketchup? And they give you a big handful of it. Right. Like, they give you 18, like, don't come back again. If somebody says longer on the top, I'm going to go long on the top, and I'm going to go, is this too long? You want me to bring it down a little? But they literally, as you're saying it, you can see them just sort of pulling it and cutting and pulling it. And I'm watching them do it. And I always have the same thought, which is, should I stop them and tell them no?
It's too late.
On the other hand, they just cut the front to 7/8 of an inch. And then also, there's a part of me in the back of my head that goes, they know something because I just told them what I wanted and they're doing something. It's wet or whatever. My hair dries. I go back to my house and I go, oh, it's too fucking short on the top. But I told them not to do that as they were doing it. That happens 50% of the time. What is that? Why is that so hard to convey?
It happens to women, too, and I think it's more of an assault when it happens to women, because here's what happens to me, and this is almost 100% of the time. Very specific. Leave it on the long side. Trim only what you have to. Otherwise, it poofs up like a Christmas tree. I'm Ashkenazic. I know what I'm talking about. Please. So they always do it perfectly. It's beautiful. The layers are cut. It's done. About to take the bib off, and they go, what do you think? I go, it's great, thank you. And then they go, perfect. They grab the scissors again and then do a little more trimming. I'm like, oh, why? What? We just both agreed it was perfect. It doesn't matter what salon you go to. You sign off and then they give it a one more once over, and then it's ruined, and then you pay.
Does that happen to you, Max Zapata or Dawson? And then why?
So
why
the haircut I got before this one, she asked how I like my hair. I said I usually part it on the side. So then she tends to wet my hair and parts it in the middle and starts cutting it. And I think, I wonder if I should tell her again that I part on the side. But I just told her that and she's a professional. She knows what she's doing. I will just see what happens. And then she let me go away with my hair parted in the middle. And I was like, all right.
Nerd alert.
Why are you asking is my question. And yes, she cut it way too short on the top. I don't give a shit. But I give a shit in that you asked a question, I expressed my answer, and then you ignored it completely in the next matter of minutes. It's not like, all right, I'll see you this time next week for that actual haircut we've been discussing. I have not got up. We're sitting in a chair. You're looking at my mouth in a mirror. I'm explaining to you what I'm doing. And you can bring a little more off if and you like. You cannot add any on. So why not do it incrementally? Hey, Gina, Nancy Grace. Nancy Grace, yes, your hair's pretty short and it's pretty poofy.
Well, that's the kind of hair that I grew up with. That's the kind of hair that I like, because I don't know if you've ever heard the saying, the higher the hair, the closer to God. And I like to keep a little volume on the top so the great Lord above knows that I am with him and that he is with me.
So it's a religious thing for you.
It's a religious choice. I also think that, it's almost like a natural facelift when you just get a little poof. Just a little poof, you just get a little more on the top. It makes you look more awake. It makes you look less guilty, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Now, what would be a guilty type hairdo? Like cornrows or something like that?
Oh, don't get me started. Of course, the cornrows. That's something you're putting way too much time and way too much effort into your hair. You should be putting more effort into, not stealing things and breaking into cars.
Well,
also, a layered look. A layered look has that same thing. Every Disney villain, every princess that's being tortured and imprisoned has that look that the layers are going right into the face, right into the cheekbones. That's an evil look. See, in the picture that you're seeing of me, they almost gave me that Ursula from The Little Mermaid look. And I said, no, stop. No, we want to look innocent. I'm Nancy Grace.
I hope you weren't listening to the beginning part of the show, but I, in fact, went to Texas and my family went to Florida. And obviously that's not...
Oh, so you must have been in that new prototype. You got the bubble suit. You tried the bubble suit?
No. I had like an old mask that I used to use during construction. It's just been floating around my car and really, yeah. And I was nipping off a flask half the flight too, so I had to kind of pull it down. So... Not exactly protocol, I guess.
But this was a private plane that you commissioned, so it's fine because you were actually flying the plane. You were the only one on the plane. Now, I do not condone drinking and flying if you're the one piloting the plane, but I understand that it's your plane. You're the only one in there. It's fine. And you were going there to be a frontline volunteer for all the people that are sick. So your heart was in the right place.
Yeah. Well, it was privately owned by Southwest Airlines, so I don't know if that means private to you.
So you were on one of those anyone coming to the front lines to volunteer their time, we're going to give you a free spot on Southwest. And of course, that middle seat's going to be open and we're going to let you ride off and we're going to put you up in one of them FEMA tents and you're going to get to work helping the sick, right?
Actually, I was getting my eyebrows waxed and eating a tomahawk steak. That's where they keep the bone. They keep the bone on there. Well, it looks like a tomahawk. It's named after... It's named after tomahawk.
It's so funny. I always forget you're a comedian first, and boy, you do make my ribs hurt sometimes.
Yeah, speaking of ribs, did we get? We didn't get any ribs when we were over there, did we, Max Spanner?
No ribs.
It's all about eating.
Shame.
Well, I probably ate lobster ribs if they have.
I loved. We ordered a lobster, like a 3-pound lobster. They just took a lobster and they whacked it in half and. Me and Mike ate the tail, and Max Pata ate all the guts right out of the middle of it. All the turquoise-colored weirdness, all the goo
tamale.
In the middle. He devoured the whole thing, and I loved every second of it.
Making my mouth water.
That's right. Sorry, what else we got, Gina Grad?
All right. Well, I don't know that any of these breaking stories that are really all the rage in the headline department right now are going to make you feel any calmer. But there is a viral video of this woman being absolutely screamed and shouted out of a grocery store in Staten Island because she seemed to be the only customer not wearing a mask. This went full street justice with the other shoppers. Basically, this happened in Staten Island. The video's the woman's pushing a cart without a face mask. She's then surrounded by people screaming at her. A customer repeatedly points her toward the door. She finally leaves. This was, the order was from April 17th from Cuomo saying that you have to cover your face if you can't social distance, like in a grocery store. And here's the pandemonium that ensued.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck everybody! Get the fuck out of here!
The yelling in her face probably doesn't mitigate the mask situation.
Get out! Okay. Go ahead, move the ass like a dirty ass pig. Dirty ass, huh? What do you think?
Wow. Yeah, it's end days. Hey, I was thinking of Brian because I saw a tweet that was trending, which was Jimmy Fallon in blackface. And I don't know if you know, but there's been some unearthed footage.
It's resurfaced.
It's resurfaced and unearthed. I read
yes,
both.
Right.
And I this is stuff he was probably worried one day might get out, especially since he broadcast it in 2000.
On SNL, on the most popular shows in the history of television. Probably been turned into a best of.
I know, but it's recently unearthed.
Sure.
And it is. And again, he thought he could hide these skeletons in his closet. No, it's been unearthed.
Dug up.
Oh, he apologized? I knew it.
Of course he did.
I knew it. Now, not only is he doing Chris Rock, but Chris Rock was a former cast member, obviously. So, now, you guys may think there's something, I don't know, why am I so concerned about this? I'm concerned about this because blackface is a thing. But this is not blackface. This is him impersonating another cast member, just like when Baldwin does Trump. Now you go, well, Baldwin's a white guy and Trump's a white guy. Yes, he does his best to look like Trump.
He does orange face.
He does orange face. He tries to look like Trump. That you when you attempt to play another character, you have to attempt to physically look like them. That means skin tone. Okay, blackface is a completely different thing from a different era that is offensive in and of itself. But this is not blackface. This is you doing an impersonation of Chris Rock, number one. So what's the concern? The concern is all the calories burnt trying to make us sort of evil and racist. Jimmy Fallon is the least of anybody's worries on this planet.
He's a gentle soul.
Nobody needs to apologize less than. And by the way, between Fallon and Kimmel, two of the Jimmys, 2 out of 3 late night guys, have been flogged for blackface, but they weren't doing blackface. They were doing characters in the context of a comedy show. I don't know what his apology is, by the way. But you don't need to apologize. All right. In 2000, while on SNL, I made a terrible decision. Well, why was it a terrible decision if you and everyone around you didn't know it was a terrible decision?
Yeah, it passed a lot of filters to get on the air, obviously.
Right. To do an impersonation of Chris Rock while in blackface. Again, I don't know, everyone. You sort of taking everything and turning it into everything is not great. It's while in blackface. I still argue that that's the minstrel show era. But anyway, there is no excuse for this. Oh, yes, there is. I'm very sorry for making this unquestionably offensive decision. And thank you all for holding me accountable. Oh, he's going to the cornfield. Little Billy's going to just think about that line. Thank you. Let me read that last line again. Thank you for holding me accountable. Thank you for holding me accountable. Thank you, mob, for forcing me. Thank you for correcting me. I didn't know what I was doing. I now know. 20 years on, I'm sure Rock is a good friend of his. And I'm sure
I'd love to hear what Chris Rock has to say about that.
I'm sure he doesn't give 2 shits because we've lost all context in our world. And here's the problem. Jimmy Fallon, tell these fucking assholes who, by the way, nobody thinks you're racist and nobody thinks what you did was racist. Tell them to fucking suck your dick. What are we doing here? All you're going to do is get more. You're negotiating with terrorists. You're negotiating with hostage takers. You're going to get more hostages. That's why we have more hostages. Thank you. Thank you, overlords. Thank you for correcting me. Ugh. And also, no one should. Does anyone think anything about this?
No, it of course, there's a huge difference between doing an impersonation of a famous person like Chris Rock or Karl Malone or Mr. T or someone who's famous and you're doing an impersonation of them. Obviously, blackface is very, very different. That's from a different era. It's like comparing athletes across eras. Like, oh, he could never hit today's pitchers. Maybe not, but he was great for his era, or that was wrong for that era. You know what I mean? Like, you can't. It's not the same thing, obviously.
We have the sketch. We'll see if it's funny.
Free reach, Chris Rock's here. Chris Rock, now we're talking. Where is he? Man, oh man, read this book. I've seen Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and guess what? Not a lot of black folks on the show. Right. Not a lot of black folks on the show. You know why? Because black folks don't like to answer questions. Oh, they want to be millionaires, but you got to ask that kind of questions like, in 1981, how many grams of crack did Rick James smoke when he recorded Super Freak?
It's funny. It's a funny impersonation. If he tried to do it without putting on black makeup, then it wouldn't be nearly as effective. All right. We're idiots. Please, can we knock this shit off, human beings? Or are we out of problems? Do we not have any problems? What about kids? What about hunger?
Feels like we
what
have
about homelessness? I know.
Feels like we're in the middle of a global pandemic. So this is it's nice to think that this is.
He's not impersonating a black guy. He's not being a black guy for Halloween, which would be offensive. He's being Chris Rock and doing a decent job of it.
Who's a cast member, a former cast member on the same show he's on? Look, we're out. Look, this just says to me we're out of racism because we got to go find it now. We're looking for it now. All right, let's do one more, Gina Grad.
All right, let's see here. So we talk every once in a while about people who wrestle wild animals, and we have one in the news. A 23-year-old visitor at the Warsaw Zoo in Poland has been sentenced to steep fines and community service after entering a bear enclosure on Thursday and tussling with a giant bear, allegedly while drunk. And we're playing the clip now as I tell you the story. So there's the dude. He's in the enclosure. He jumps into the kind of bear pool, the water.
The moat.
Oh, he's in the water. He's in the moat.
Yep. The bear's thinking about what his next move is going to be. This is all being filmed. So he goes over to the other side.
That's a nice.
And I'm no Joe Buck here, but we're trying to do a little play-by-play. The guy's swimming around.
Oh, that bear sees his opportunity right there.
Slides on down. And wants to get a closer look.
And there is a spot. Oh, the bear's in the water.
That bear can swim.
But this guy says, oh, great, this is a perfect time for me to jump on the bear's back, start pulling his ears, and wrestling the bear under the water. So that's what we're looking at right now. Guy's a complete fool. This took place last Thursday, also prompted city officials and zoo authorities to transfer the two bears that live in the enclosure to a more interior area. Footage, which we just watched, was shared to Twitter, shows the man just baiting this bear and then jumping on his back. The man, extracted himself from the water and back onto the artificial island, where he was then pulled out of there by the fire brigade. And he was later charged with animal cruelty, disturbing the peace, and also tacked on a fine for not wearing a mask. He was sentenced to 2 years of community service.
They got him for everything.
Yep, roughly $1,300 in fines. And by the way, that bear was rescued from a circus. So it was probably one of those, oh no, not again moments for the bear, but maybe not completely foreign to him.
I will tell you this, as a young man, having animal cruelty on your rap sheet is such a deal breaker for first dates. I'm telling you, if most women I know, if you said on a first date, look, I got to come clean, I have been arrested. If you said,
ooh, bad boy,
for killing my family, they would say, was your dad a bad guy?
What did they do?
But if you said animal cruelty, I was literally thinking about this. I got home last Sunday at like 10:30 in the morning from Texas. The kids and Lynette were coming home at noon from Florida. I was walking. I was in the house the whole time. They were gone, and then I left for like 3 days. But I had this thought. If I knew they were coming home in 2 minutes, and I was walking down the hall, and I had to make a move, but I couldn't make both moves. I could only make one. Either turn to the right and fill the dog's water bowl, or go upstairs to the master bedroom and remove a dead prostitute from our bed. I would stop, think about it, and make the move for the water bowl. If those are my only two choices, that's how coached up I am.
I have another sort of hot headline breaking example of that. A story we didn't get to, the woman in Central Park that I'm sure you've heard the story by now. She had her dog off the leash in a part of Central Park where you have to have your dog on a leash because it's where birders go to take pictures of birds. And when there's dogs trying to flush out birds and they can't do what that part of the park is for. So this black man said to this white woman, "Can you please put your dog on the leash? This is a part of the park where your dog has to be on a leash." She went nuts. She got on the phone, called the police, says there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
See, this is the guy we got to overcompensate for. Sorry. Or the
yes,
girl.
and guess what? There's more. There is video of it, and
Oh, yeah.
it's hard to watch for two reasons. One, she's hysterical, and she's losing her mind, and this guy's like, "What are you talking about? I just asked you to put your dog on a leash. There's a man harassing me. He's African-American." She loses her mind. All the while, she's grabbing her dog by the leash and choking.
By the collar.
Yeah, by the collar. The dog can't get air. The dog
the leash is in one hand. She's holding the dog by the collar in the other.
The dog can't breathe. So it's very hard to watch for those two reasons. By the way, she has since lost her job, and the adoption center has taken the dog back.
Jesus Christ.
So watching that for two reasons is very, very difficult. One of them being she's choking her dog.
Adam, have you not seen this, Adam?
When did it come out?
This took social media by storm the last 36 hours or 48 hours.
When I was in hold the phone for a second. I was in Houston, and when I travel, I don't travel with my computer.
Smart.
So I little crap pops up on my phone, texts and things like that, but I really don't look at stuff. So if it's going off when I was in Houston, then I did not see it. All right.
Are you familiar? But before we play the video, I just want to ask an establishing question. Adam, are you familiar with this trend of Karens? Do you know the Karen
I have
trend?
heard someone say stop using Karen on Twitter, but I don't know what it means.
Well, it's white policy Pam type white women trying to bust people of color for doing stupid shit that you shouldn't be calling the police.
But Gina, I had this thought as it pertains to Adam and Karens. This woman is a Karen. She's a middle-aged white woman who's losing her fucking mind over nothing and blah, blah. The woman who probably didn't wear her mask in the grocery store we just saw. Adam, your theory of women going insane when they get to a certain middle age, like just losing their fucking minds, especially ones who maybe used to be attractive. I think that's what we're seeing. I think that's the Karen trend.
Well, there's a couple things. Yes, when you sort of built a life around every time you walked into a restaurant or a bar, half the people in there wanted to fuck you, and that's off the table now. That scrambles your brain. But also living in a zero gravity environment, like not having to really get out there and work and hustle. I guarantee none of these women work at a Waffle House. If you've seen what people who work at a Waffle House do, like they have responsibilities, they have agendas, they have timetables, like they're on their feet, they're sweating, they're moving. Yes, this zero gravity environment is taking its toll on our brains. And guys, we stop producing as much testosterone, our prostates blow up, and we mellow out. Chicks get nuttier, and thus the Karen complex. All right, we'll do more Karen talk tomorrow. I feel like there's going to be some fertile soil here. We'll show that video and beyond. Do we have an outro, Dawson, to play?
Gina. That was the news with Gina Grad.